Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Depressed Dior, and this is Langrisser Mobile Apex Season 11. So, just completing the rest of my placement matches. We're going up against Volk, which the name sounds familiar, but don't really remember. um, so, some faces we don't usually see. Mariandel, for one, which is always cool. You don't usually see SP Freya anymore. Not even SP Lana tends to be pretty rare. I've been seeing her a bit more often, but usually she's not in these sorts of boxes. For the most part, it's a mixture of AoE and assassins. As always, mixed boxes are a lot easier to deal with because I can react and kind of pick and choose what sort of battle I'm going to go up against. So, and every battle I like to go up against is one that doesn't have Wet Ham, so I opened with that. I get rid of my Kyura, and they take Rose and Seal. They have 3 tanks. 1, 2. Do they not have a Hilda? I could have swore they had a Hilda. Okay, yeah, 2 tanks, so autocratic and also physical tank, I believe. And then 1, 2 primary healers, and then you can technically passive heal. You can technically heal a bit with Brent Mariandel, and you can potentially passive heal with Lucretia there. Okay, so yeah, only 2 tanks to worry about, and 2 primary healers. So got rid of Epsilon, got rid of their Lucretia, went ahead and grabbed my Rose and Seal. So at this point, I don't really need to worry about AoE for the most part. So they ban some of my assassins, they take Kyura. So at this point, I don't want to deal with Werner. I also wanted to potentially prevent any magic reduction or magic damage reduction as much as possible, so I got rid of Christiane. This was going to force my opponent to take a tank, more than likely, and I went ahead and grabbed Iron Chancellor. They do have a Landius here, and he tends to be, he usually tends to be a cavalry tank. But despite that, I still take Ironblood Commander here. Get rid of my long range, more of my assassins. They take Landius. So at this point, I was like, all right, well, let's get rid of some of your AoE. I purposely left him with Bozal. Because if they take Bozal, he'll have to take a faction buff if he wants to be buffed at all. That, or he has to bring someone that has magic defense up, or something like that. Take Sylvaria. I've been taking her a lot more often. For one, she's Empire, so she goes well with Rose and Seal. And at this point, well, I guess you can see kind of what you've already seen what I've been able to do with Sylvaria. It's one of those all or nothing type things with Sylvaria, but in a different way. Because if you fail this snipe, you're kind of stuck because you have to reset up again. And as the map gets smaller and smaller, her ability to snipe becomes weaker and weaker. In any case, they banned my tank, got rid of my other healer, and they take Bozal. So at this point, they have Mariandel, a healer, a tank, and then Liana. Who did I know I'm pretty sure I get rid of Mariandel. Mariandel, and I think I was getting rid of potential pets. I guess I was getting rid of potential summons in one of the act agains. And then I take Pirotess, and they go ahead and ban some more of my long range, and they take Liana. So double healer with 1 tank, and then 1 assassin and 1 AoE. And my choices are either to take a Kaya, which is not really useful in this group because I already have mobility increases for the people that need it, and then I have my other choice is Narm, so I take Narm. Alright. Standard kit Kyura with Faceless, Assassin class, Rose and Seal with Shrine Maidens, Liana with Fighting Monks, 3C with Act Again. The Rose and Seal is all healing, no faction buffs. Landius brought his own faction buff, has the standard kit with Templar Knights. And then Bozal brought faction buff with his 3C and went Stone Colossi, which actually hinders his mobility because he's not flying anymore. Nothing new here with Silvaria. Actually, yeah, I did swap out her buff for disarm just in case because I had so many buffs at this point. I felt like I didn't need it. I have the faction buff from Rose and Seal. I have mass attack from Ironblood Commander, and then I have sprint from Narm. So I have multiple ways to go ahead and get up some attack increases. And then Pirotess standard kit was Slice Stride, 3C, and Quick Step. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And Narm I have for 3C and aim. And then she's using Elven Cavalry Archers. Okay, so let's dive right into this. So my opponent's going to push aggressively. I went ahead and opened with a sprint. I'm mostly just trying to wait and see what my opponent's going to do. Alright, so at this point, Silvaria can go to right about here and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and shoot there if need be. Obviously the biggest danger is if she has a staff and gets act again, she could potentially just take out Pirotess there. So we're kind of playing this by ear a little bit. Right now, the only person that's in range is Pirotess. I purposely went ahead and brought in Ironblood Commander though. If anyone's going to be able to survive a hit from Kyura, it's going to be her. Yeah, so if she has the staff, she's in range right now. Okay. And then got some additional mobility. Right now, Pirotess... Oh, actually, Pirotess can go for kill right now. Quick Step will get her to here, and then her 3C has 3 range, so take out Kyura immediately. And that's what I do. So Landius does debuff range and damage as an aura. But it doesn't really, it's not enough. Alright, and then I can back away. So thanks to the swamp, it actually gets me just out of range of Landius, so he can't counterattack. So all that's left now is just Bozil, really, and technically Landius is pretty... When he has his buffs and he has people nearby and stuff, he does get quite a bit of defense conversion. But since I don't have to worry about being assassinated now, I can move in here. Get set up for sniping. Alright, just checking a few things. So right now, Silvaria can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So she can shoot anyone except for Liana, and both Rose and Seal and Bozil are within the assassinate range. But Bozil goes ahead and moves in. Does his 3C against one target, which isn't really that important because Pirotess has already used all of her abilities. So yeah, this Rose and Seal had fixed damage immunity, and since she had both holy and holy troops, it actually negated the Twilight Star. Yeah, Intimate and defense is the only thing she had, so I'm guessing... I'm guessing she has a Meditate Ring? That's my only guess. I think that's what it's called, Meditate Ring, that gives you immunity to fixed damage. So yeah, I did not expect that. Unfortunately, with Shrine Maid, it is, I can't kill. So, a little unfortunate. And then act again here, so Bozil's about ready to do his 3C again. Every time Bozil uses his 3C, it gets stronger, but the cooldown gets longer. I tried to heal up, but Pirotess was hit with heal negation. But for some reason, instead of my opponent pushing into AoE, which would have probably killed Pirotess, my opponent decided to go ahead and just move in with Landius and buff again. So that actually kind of gave me an opportunity to back away, which I quickly do, and then get within aura to get passive healed. So at this point, I'm more than safe. So, still pretty good damage. but since I have Crystal Healing up now, it's not the end of the world. Yep, and that Bozal is also fixed damage immune. So, Cav versus troops. Or Cav versus infantry here. So one thing I didn't realize, or I completely forgot, so yeah, if I'm in power attack formation, I actually get first strike. So I ended up just wiping out just about everything. So the counterattack practically did nothing, because it was just Landius by himself. I also debuffed him. I got rid of all of his buffs as well. So yeah, Iron Blood Commander is of course holy, so she's not affected by the fact that these are Cav. The Templar Knights did have high AM defense, but nowhere near high enough to stop Iron Blood's attack. And then of course Sand-Sea Mercenaries were the infantry, so they were less effective, but that's okay. Alright, so yeah, softened up Landius quite a bit. Mass Crystal Healing. And at this point I was like, well, I need to soften up Landius, so we're gonna go ahead and move in with Narm. Sun Piercing Arrow. Yeah. Took some counterattack damage, but it was enough to get kill, which is all I really care for. Got rid of a lot of the crystal barriers as well, but it doesn't really matter. I'm not really about the debuffs. But, so she's not fixed damage immune. Oh yeah, speaking of, what could Bozal have that makes him fixed damage immune? He probably, well, I can't tell now because he's buffed up now. He might have like a bracer or something. So I went ahead and shifted up to get kind of away from everything and get set up for sniping again. I do have damage dealt reduction, which kind of sucks, but that's not the end of the world. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So Rosenseal's within assassinate range, and then everyone else is within just standard attack range. Alright. So Bozal's attacking from range, but his troops are not ranged, so it's just him. Now his 3C's off cooldown. So Pirotess' silence is worn off. Go ahead and fall back and kind of just heal up again, because I did notice that Bozal's cooldown is up. So we're just going to back away and get ready. Mass attack is mainly just to prevent the silence if it does happen. Okay, Descent to Chaos. It's going to hit everybody but Narm. This is his third time casting, so it's even stronger now. Alright. Yeah, so he doesn't have... He has no buffs active, and he has everything highlighted, which means he has some sort of bracer type accessory. So he probably has the one that gives him fixed immunity. But, so yeah, now his cooldown's 2, so it's going to be a while before he can do anything again, because all he has is faction buffs and seal. Alright. And Crystal Barriers did their job. Went and did Miracle to heal up. Sylvaria is unfortunately heal negated right now. Alright, quick step. Yep, she does have Holy Aegis, so that did negate the Twilight Star. But it still did nearly 30,000 damage, so it didn't matter. Alright, and at this point my opponent gave up. He did wait a little while I was trying to consider what to do next. But at that point he didn't have anything. Bozal was on cooldown for 2 rounds. And I was set up to snipe again. I wasn't going to be able to attack directly to generals directly, but I would still be able to just whittle them down from a distance while everyone else's cooldowns get recycled. But yeah, not too shabby. 2 kills with Pirotess. Fortunately, Sylvaria failed our snipe, but it was enough to kind of deter my opponent. And then even Narm helped out with taking out a self-res, and then I'm actually very impressed with how well Ironblood Commander did against Landius, because that's always a fear fighting up against cavalry. She can't kill him, but she can definitely soften him up. Alright, one more for the road. So I did lose a match prior to this. Essentially what you saw in the previous match where I did the where Sylvaria failed the snipe against someone that had Shrine Maidens and was holy, and fixed damage immune. That's essentially what happened on my on the match I lost. Ironically, it was the only match that I was first player too, and it was also the only match where Rose and Seal got banned first. So I guess that's a sign of things to be wary of in the future. I seem to do just fine as player 2 rather than player 1. Anyway, so my opponent here, again, assassins and AoE. That's essentially, well, sorry, long legs and some assassins, and then there's a little bit of AoE. So nothing too out there. I am concerned about SP D-Heart there because he's always annoying. He has essentially 8 movement and 2 range and can bypass guard. And his stupid little exclusive helmet can stun people as a passive, which is really, really annoying. In any case, get rid of Witham. They get rid of my Kaya. They take Elwyn. I take care of. So since they took Elwyn, I was like, all right, let's get rid of some of their Glory faction, or yeah, I think it's Light of Glory or whatever its name is. Take Rose and Seal. So again, I don't need to really worry about Bozel now. Went ahead and took. They went and got rid of my tank. They take their tank. Yeah, I think they only had 1 tank. Yeah. Oh no, they had 2. They had 2 tanks and then technically 4 healers. All right. Went ahead and got rid of Epsilon and Lucretia. Grab my Ironblood. They start going after more of my long range, as usual. They take Kyura. So at this point, I went ahead and got rid of one of their healers, particularly one that can teleport, and got rid of D-Heart, and to see if my opponent would pick a healer at this point. I take Sylvaria. So you can see the 1, 2, 3 I got again. Yeah, they take Liana, so at this point, I can essentially get rid of all potential faction buffers for Kyura, as well as all potential AoE debuffing, and then force my opponent to either take a second healer or a second tank. So get rid of their AoE like I mentioned. So since my opponent has 0 AoE for the most part, except for Hilda technically, I went ahead and grabbed Tsubame. I have plenty of ways of buffing her without relying on a faction buff at this point. My opponent got rid of more of my long range. I mean, at this point, all I have left is long range assassin / DPS. They take Rose and Seal. And for this match, I'm going to be taking Pirotess. Alright, so this match was messy. I made a huge mistake. A huge mistake, and that is here. So, I think by the time you see this video, the guild battle event thing should be over. But I used Tsubame in some of those, and I swapped out her move again for a backstab, so she can do more damage against enemies there. And I forgot to swap it out. So I went through most of this, just about half this fight, not realizing I did not have quick step. Which really sucks. So instead I had backstab, which is still useful, but now I have far less mobility for Tsubame, and her major weakness is the fact she's very short-legged. Anyway, my opponent Elwyn has unicorns, so he has essentially like 9 movement. Liana with fighting monks. Hilda with phalanxes. Standard skills with exclusive armor. Kyura, standard kit with Faceless and Assassin. Rose and Seal, all heals with Fighting Monks. So the good news is I don't have to worry about any Shrine Maidens in this one. So as mentioned before, I made a mistake with Tsubame, so I have backstab instead of quickstep. So against something that has more 100% HP, I actually can do a bit more damage. Sylvaria, standard kit. Well, actually I swapped back in her buff just in case. Pirotess, standard kit. Ironblood, same thing. Risen Seal, the same thing as usual. Okay. So, dominating formation. So I went into my turn in place. Because my opponent has an act again and goes first. I kind of have to wait and see what where my opponent moves Elwen. And Kaira. Kaira is less of an issue, but Elwen's a problem. Because he can self-res when he's away from everything. So went ahead and shifted up. I mean, it's pretty safe to assume like Elwen can go to here. Next round he can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and just hit anyone. So no matter what, Elwen's gonna reach me next round. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Heck, he can with act again. He can reach me in this round if he really wanted to. But Sylvaria can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So my opponent probably does not realize I have the bow, which, to be honest, is a kind of a safe assumption because literally the bow came out this week. I spent 60 vouchers just to get that bow, just so I can do this cheesy little trick, the sneaky little trick here, where I'm like, oh, you think I'm 9 range, but I'm actually 10. Get sniped. Alright, heavy strike formation. So, if I did have quick step, I can actually reach this Elwen. And I was like, oh, I might be able to attack Elwen and get him to lose one of his lives. And I still didn't notice, and I was like, well, there's a good chance I might not be able to get killed because there's not that many enemies around to do Silent Wing with. So I was like, alright, well, we'll just wait and see what happens. Alright, and then here I just go ahead and do faction buff. If Elwen goes first, he'll be able to kill whoever he wants except for Tsubame, because Tsubame's stealthed right now. And more likely he will probably go after Ironblood Commander here, which at least I'll be able to get rid of one of his buffs. That's about all I can do for it. But instead my opponent decided to just do Mass Crystal Healing and didn't actually attack. So I'm guessing my opponent thought they were safe. That's my only assumption. I mean, because Ironblood can reach Hilda and Elwen. And even if she was able to kill either one of them, they both have self-reses. But I don't think my opponent realized that Kaira's in 10 range, and my shot can actually go 10 range here. So, break last rites. My crit got negated, but it doesn't really matter as long as I do 9,000 damage, which I do quite a bit more than that. So there you go, Kaira's gone. And I was like, okay, so what's my opponent gonna do this time? I was like, okay, not gonna attack yet. I was like, well, I'm gonna lose Ironblood one way or the other, so I might as well do it on my terms. So got rid of all of his buffs. So again, Cav with infantry troops. But it's still like 34,000. That's more than enough. He only had 24,000. So killed him, got rid of most of his buffs. Now I was like, oh man, I probably shouldn't have moved her here because, you know, Tsubame can quickstep, and then I realized, I think around this point, that I had backstab and not quickstep, and then I was like, oh, I'm screwed. So healing up, don't really, kind of redundant to be honest. So I was like, okay, well, since you're going to be doing that, I might as well do this. So, not quite enough, unfortunately. So now I'm kind of out here, just doing whatever. At this point, I thought I threw the match, because I was like, oh man, I kind of wasted that, didn't I? So here comes Eternal Glow. 50,000. I'm pretty sure he would have just gotten killed with a regular attack. Alright, well the good news is he still doesn't get any fancy buffs, so that's good. Oh, his buff only gets reapplied when a friendly unit dies. That's good. So good thing I didn't actually succeed on that kill. Alright, so at this point I was like, oh cool, I can now get in range, and then I was like, oh, I don't have quick step. So I was just like, whatever, I'll just move up. Alright. So I do have Extreme Magic Bow. So I actually do quite a bit of damage to him in return. And his heal only happens before the attack, not after. So I do Killing Machine, mainly just to bypass the guard. And then I move out, get temporary stealth active again. So at this point it's 2 healers and a tank versus a healer and 2 DPS. So went ahead and shifted up just so I can get more range between me and the opponent. Got Snipe up and running again. And at this point, Hilda went on the offense. Phalanx are not good for attacking at all, so it's pretty much just all Hilda there. And at this point, did get rid of my stealth, but I'm not really in danger. Just heal up some. Undid all the damage, now have damage reduction. So yeah, shooting all the way from here. So again, just generals shooting at each other. Yep, and then at this point, my Leona I don't think the Leona ever got a chance to do Act again. Hilda was out of range in the previous turn, so never got the opportunity. So it hit there. At this point I was like, whatever. Backstab, you're at full HP, Daybreak. So it's now a tank versus a healer into DPS. So at this point there's just no chance. Alright, so yeah, the L1 pretty much did all the work. And 2 of my assassins kind of did some work. Pirotess unfortunately came up short, but that's completely fine. It wouldn't have changed... It honestly wouldn't have changed much. It just would have been... L1 would have been a bit tankier when he killed Pirotess. But with Killing Machine, I would have had at least 2 buffs from the Silent Wing, and that alone would have been enough. If I really wanted to, I could get all the way next to him instead and attack in melee, in which case I would have gotten 3 stacks of Silent Wing, and that would have been enough to finish him off as well. So, yeah, not too shabby. And yeah, with that, as all my placement matches, I had 4 wins and 1 loss, which puts me in Gold 3. So I'm done for this season for the most part. I just need to do my weekly wins. So like I mentioned before, when the equipment banner came out this week, my goal was to get that bow. That bow is essentially only useful for 2 characters, and one of them is a character that's I believe coming up next, who has like a grappling hook type thing, and essentially uses that grappling hook to reset his movement, and then he can attack from like extra range. Of course, and then the other person that can definitely get benefits from the bow is Silvaria, because essentially the bow only provides that extra range if you're moving less than 3 spaces. So, and not many people actually put forth the vouchers for equipment banners usually, for obvious reasons, because it's not efficient. But it did make it so my opponent thought I was 9 range instead of 10, and that ended up costing them a DPS or a healer every single time. Pretty much all the matches I had Silvaria where I won, she pretty much successfully sniped something, which is pretty cool. Now that I'm in Gold 3 though, I'm pretty sure my luck's going to run out, and they're probably going to realize I have 10 range, and kind of go from there. But overall, I liked how the matches went. I've been using Silvaria, I used Alicia some, I've been using Pirotess. I don't remember the last time I've used Sherry. Pretty much, the characters like Sherry are essentially just there to be banned, and that's pretty much it. so not too shabby. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. I'm the Depressed Hero. This was Langrisser Mobile Apex Season 11. I'll see you guys later.